There's something about being vindicated when you say something and it makes so much sense to you. But then at the time you say it, a lot of people go, no, surely that won't happen. I've had for a while now this suspicion that when it comes to BE and it comes to how businesses approach BE in South Africa, businesses themselves are oftentimes hiring more people in order to comply with whatever the BE requirements are for their specific sector. And whenever I've run that past people, they usually say, no, people won't do that because, why would a company pay more money in terms of salaries than what it absolutely has to? Instead, what companies may do actually is to just not hire more people, or they'll let white people go in order to hire black people in their place. Because we're constantly told by people that BE and affirmative action does not affect merit. People are still hiring based on merit, but BE is sort of applied after all the smart people are left in the room. Then they pick out of the smart people the people who fit the bill for BE. Now, this video, I'm not even going to talk about how incredibly racist BE is. You already know my opinions on BE and just how racist it is as a group of regulations. We can talk, and I have before spoken about the incredible harm that is being done by this government and really governments around the world with the constant pampering of black people around the world. Whenever black people fail, there is this instinct, not just in South Africa, but also worldwide, to sort of brush it off as, oh, but it's not their fault. It's colonialism, or it's apartheid, or it's some other issue that caused the failure. And the only thing that you achieve as a result of doing that kind of sort of pampering is you make very weak individuals. People who are not strong enough to actually exist in the real world. People who are not strong enough to actually affect change in their own lives because they're constantly looking to other people to make their lives better. That is why we consistently see the blacks from Africa screaming for reparations from Europe, claiming that, all of our resources were taken way back. The resources are still there. Most of the African nations still have access to all of the mines. They still have access to all of the land. They still have access to all of the resources. They've still not been able to make anything of their own lives. If it isn't given to them on a silver platter, they don't do anything with it. And then when it is given to them on a silver platter, they completely destroy it. Every African nation, literally the entire Africa, is the only continent where most of you would not want to live. And yet, we're consistently told that no, but this is the fault of Europe. This is the fault of America. It is because you're pampering people that you're making them weak. And it doesn't help anyone. And more importantly, it's actually when you start to look. So this just came out literally about 2 hours ago, I think. This came out where the boss of Standard Bank, this was according to stand-up chief economist Kevin Lings, who was speaking at Morningstar Investment Conference. And he revealed that Standard Bank employs 3,000 people more than what it absolutely needs to in order to comply with BEE regulations. 3,000 people. So the narrative that we used to hear about, but it's the best black people that's being employed, clearly not true. Standard Bank, by the way, the boss of Standard Bank is a man by the name Sim Chabalala. Now, last time I checked, Sim Chabalala isn't a very Afrikaans or English name. I'm going to put my money on the fact that he is black. And even the boss of Standard Bank is going, hey, if I want to get the best people for the job here, I'm going to have to get white people in. But if I get white people in, I won't be BE compliant. So in order to be BE compliant, I'm going to have to hire a bunch of black people that I don't need because they can't do the job that I need them for. But I need to get them into the business so that I can actually have the people there that can do the job. Why is this a problem? Many of you might say, but Stefan, what's the problem? At least some people are having jobs. Well, if we actually look at the new race targets that's about to be introduced in this country, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse. That 3,000 that is currently working there, that's going to go up to 10, 12, 11, 15,000 eventually, because in some of these sectors, when you actually look at it, only 4% can actually be white. The rest has to be black. So what ends up happening is you already have a black population that is uneducated as a result of ANC failure. Let's just be super clear about that. It is not the fault of the population or the majority black population that they are uneducated. It is the fault of the ANC. The ANC did this on purpose. Now the ANC, in order to cover up for their own failures, want to force companies to hire more black people out of a population that already isn't capable of enforcing that. There's not enough black people in this country to actually make this happen. So again, you're going to have companies like Standard Bank being forced to go, right, we have to hire more black people so that we can get the people that actually can do the job. And by this, I'm not saying that it's only white people. They do have black people that work there. I mean, the boss is black. So clearly they do have black people there that know how to do the job, right? And that can do the job. The problem is that there's just not enough. And that's because of ANC failures in education. But there's something far more sinister for anyone that's saying, but hey, that's 3,000 people that's at least getting a salary. Yes, that's 3,000 people that's getting an empty salary. They're not learning any real skills. They're not getting any real job experience. They're most likely not even employed in an area where they can excel and learn and maybe start their own company or maybe start a new job somewhere else where they may actually be needed. More importantly, how many companies are not reaching the levels of Standard Bank because they simply cannot afford it? How many companies right now are stuck at 40, 45, 46, 47 people, knowing that they need to upgrade, they need to get more people in so that they can start doing more business, but also knowing that whenever they put out a job position, there's just not enough black people actually applying for the job. And so they're always stuck at this thing of, well, we'll just stay at the size we are because there's physically no way, thanks to BE requirements, that we're ever going to be able to do it. You see, and this is the problem with this top-down approach from government. It might look on the surface as if the government actually gives a crap about people, but you are wrong. This has nothing to do with the government giving a crap about people. This has to do with the government seemingly trying to make it look as if they do. But instead, all of their policies are hurting the average South African. Not to mention the fact that if Standard Bank didn't have to waste 3,000 people's salaries every single month, how much bigger could Standard Bank already have been? There's a possibility that if Standard Bank was able to just do business, they would have been employing 10, 20,000 people today already because of the fact that they were able to just do business. But thanks to the incredibly asinine regulations from the government, they're not able to. They have to hire 3,000 people just so that they can look like they're making a difference. And that really is our big problem here. You know, now with employment equity hitting, it's going to get so much worse. The economy is already not growing. We are ranked. If you go through this article, just take a look at this very quickly. This is the ease of doing business in South Africa. Look at where South Africa is. This is compared to 49 other countries. Just take a look at that. South Africa is last. China, a country that completely blocks any and all foreign companies from doing business unless they side with Chinese investors and Chinese people. China is easier to do business than South Africa. That should tell you something. That should tell you just how terrible this country is and how terrible this government has been performing. But of course, most people don't focus on that. Most people don't think about that because it's easier for a lot of the country's voters to just blame apartheid, blame colonialism, blame the white man. Because if I blame the white man, I don't have to take responsibility. Look, I get it. No one wants to take responsibility for their own mistakes. I would love to sit here and say, well, the reason I'm fat is KFC and McDonald's. No, I bought the KFC and the McDonald's. It's my fault. It's not fun to admit that. No one likes to admit their own mistakes. But unless I'm willing to admit my own mistakes, I'll never actually be able to fix it. You have to be willing to stand up and say, right, we're to blame. Let's fix this now. And until the ANC can start doing that, I don't see us getting anywhere near fixing this problem. But anyways, let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about all of this. If you like what I do and you think more people should have access to the kind of content that I make, please consider hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that bell, because it really does help. Leaving a comment, because engagement is king, and I always love reading your comments. As always, a massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your continued support. Without you, I wouldn't be where I am now. To join, simply hit the link in the description down below or click the join button right below this video. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.